know, the assessed benefit.
Are you guys ready?
Is it going?
Yep.
Call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we got the approval of our minutes from our last regular meeting, Wednesday, April 8th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
My second motion.
Motion by Todd, second by Carrie, all in favor.
Did you call me Todd?
He did. He did.
Stole right again.
I didn't put a motion and a second on the agenda, and it threw me all off. All right, next up, we've got the prosecutor's office presentation on their recent case.
Thank you all very much. Stand here. Okay, great. This has it. Evan, how's it going? All right. Thank you all very much. Everyone here knows me. I'm Ryan Marshall. I'm the prosecutor. For the folks that may not, I got good news here. I'm going to be really quick. And two, we were able to shut down a drug dealing operation in this county. We were able to seize some of the proceeds from the drug dealing, and we were able to turn over a substantial amount, an amount of $25,519.64 to the county for the general fund to be used at your discretion. One thing I would like to say is one of the gentlemen in the back, Alex Stanton, Switzerland County Sheriff's Deputy, was a major player and a major asset in this case. And I wanted to give you all a little bit of background, talking about how we got from there to here. If you have any questions, that's fine. Just please know that because it was a covert drug investigation, I'm not going to compromise means, method, tactics, procedures, that kind of thing. But to give you a little bit of an idea, essentially, Switzerland County Sheriff's Department and the state police, they began a joint investigation after we had some intelligence that was collected that there was a drug dealing operation in the county. We believe somebody was taking high-grade marijuana from a state in which it was legal and bringing it down here and then selling it, obviously, at a major profit. This investigation took several months, I believe sometime from essentially April to around August. During that time, we had real-time surveillance. We had multiple contacts, which the target obviously didn't know that that's what we were doing. We ended up having a raid, which they went in the house. They were able to discuss everything. We were able to break that down, and we were able to take a substantial amount of money and some vehicles out of the property and the money in the safe. One of the things that we did, I think one of the thoughts here is that working together with multi-agencies is really good. I need to commend the Sheriff's Department because they've got an excellent relationship working with ISP. I've seen in different areas and different places, not here, some counties that don't, but they have done a phenomenal job. And ISP, not only in the last 4 years, is a lot more present. They're a lot more active. I believe we had a large patrol in Patriots last night. So you have police officers, these assets that they want to come down here and they want to work. And part of the reason is they want to work with Brian Morton. They want to work with, I'm sure they'll want to work with Clint Earls, and they want to work with Alex Stanton. And that's been great. Another thing that we did, we talked about partnership. One of the things that we are allowed to do as a prosecutor is essentially retain a private firm for civil forfeitures. That's been commonly done through the state and region. The reason we do that is because we are solely focused on a criminal case. We are not here for profits. This money here is not used for profits. These things would be used for the general fund and for capital and upgrades and investments for our office. We're going to take a piece of this money, not this. There's some other monies that got turned over in the amount of about $15,000 to that office. And we're going to use that for our online platform that helps us retain, store, transmit, and discover digital evidence, including body cams. Body cams have been a hot topic in Switzerland County. They are already here. The Indiana State Police, the Indiana DNR, and the BB Town Police are there. And I expect what I've heard, and I would expect that eventually there's not going to be an agency in Indiana that doesn't have one outside of special circumstances. Digital evidence, the platform we're using, can take everything from Belterra or BP or any kind of basically surveillance footage, play all those things, and then we can get those to the defense attorneys faster. We can do all of those things, and it's going to show logs and retention and all those sorts of things, which allows us to take that digital evidence and basically be able to streamline that, show when we've sent it, make that easier to do, and also review that more quickly and more efficiently. So hopefully our cases get better. And I think ISP's use of the body cam in this case was actually pretty stellar, because not only was the entire investigation contact of the target recorded, we were able to show the defense attorney that he consented, he was confessing, he was doing those things. We were able to link this. We know this was drug money in the safe because he admitted to it, obviously. We know that not just the drug money, but what we call proceeds of the drug money. If you were to take drug money and use that to buy something, that could also be seizable. That's why initially we seized vehicles as well. However, one of the things you'll know if you do this, vehicles, they weren't worth a whole lot, those sorts of things. So in terms of those, the county would have to maintain those, and insurance, a lot of times there's some sunk costs in there. Question is, well, why don't you take somebody's house or that kind of thing? Well, the county doesn't want to be on the hook for maintaining the property or something like that. So the reason I know this stuff is because we retained Baskin and Kaiser and Evan Pennington. He's out of the room right now, but we worked with Garrett Baskin from the outset. They took the forfeiture proceedings. We get that approved. They're the Indiana Attorney General through the contract, and we let those guys do what they need to do. We go then prosecute the criminal case. The judge actually put a $50,000 bond on this person. He was held for a substantial amount of time in jail. He pled guilty. He received not only jail time, but probation, and that case was addressed, and we were able to convict him on essentially offenses that proved legally in court that he was indeed dealing drugs and retaining illegal profits from it, and that was something that allowed us to work with the forfeiture. So I followed their advice to the letter. I think we were very well advised. We settled quickly. There wasn't essentially litigation expenses that you would typically see if we would have to go to, I believe he might have been entitled to a jury trial on a forfeiture case as well as a criminal case. We're able to essentially get to a point where both of those things made sense. I don't really think there's a whole lot else I want to say other than this was something obviously we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about when it was going, and we wouldn't generally talk about this if it had not been something that we can show you all. I understand this is a difficult decision, or I understand it's a difficult job, and you guys have a lot of big issues, but here's a little piece of good news, and I just wanted to say thank you all very much for everything you do. We're trying to work with you, and if we have more in the future, obviously we want to shut these things down. We don't want them in the county, but if we do, if we can, we will continue to do this again, and you have the people, and you have the places, and you have the people, the assets, and the mindset to make that possible. So thank you all very much, and that's all I have to say. I think I only took about 4 minutes, which is a record for me. So,
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
it's pretty good. And throw that out there if you guys need it, all right?
All right, next up, we got EMS, Fletcher County Emergency Response. First up is an additional appropriation, $50,000, $50,075.76. Their 1151 fund to 1151-4411.
That was pre-approved by the commissioners when I bought the equipment. We were gonna pay for it out of the fund balance. It just needs to be reappropriated to the equipment line.
I'll make a motion to move the appropriation from 1151 to 1151-4411.
I second.
Motion by Kim, second by Carrie, all in favor. Unanimous. Next up, we've got an additional appropriation for the purchase of a new ambulance.
Okay, we still got some really old equipment. There's another demo available. The price came in at $200,000. There's not gonna be any more demos available until spring of next year. If we order an ambulance, we're talking like 16 to 18 months to get said ambulance. So if something does happen to one of those higher mileage ambulances, we're without. My current plan is if you go back to the 2023 study, we've got more ambulances than it says we need. Do I want to get to the number that they recommended? Yes. We also need to keep good equipment on the road, and we've got these ambulances that got 200,000 miles on them. One's at like 180. One's a 15, one's a 19. They both got really high miles on them. They got some service issues. I think this is a good price. The commissioners I went to the commissioners about it. They approved to buy the power load for it, which is $12,750, and they sent me to you guys to see if you guys can come up with the 200,000. With this plan, though, the Patriot ambulance is going to leave. Since I came in here in November of 24, that vehicle has made 0 runs. There's no personnel down in that area. One personnel just moved over in that area, but he's kind of in between Patriot and Enterprise. That ambulance isn't moving. To service the striker equipment, the monitor, the stretcher, the stair chair, the auto pulse, it's $5,000 a year. There's another $5,000 a year in supplies that we're setting in Patriot that are expiring. We just can't use these. I mean, it's almost $10,000 a truck to keep a truck in service, and we've got 3 trucks on the outside of Vivi that made 14 runs last year at $10,000 a piece, and they brought in $7,700 in revenue. It's not even paying for one of them, with East Enterprise being the busiest.
I want to talk, we talked before, obviously. You want to let everybody know about the oxygen, what you're doing with oxygen. And the
I just-
there.
Yep. So right now we're renting all of our tanks, and it's 45 cents a day. We have 30 of them. I just bought a new system I didn't bring that paperwork with me. Over 5 years, it'll save $40,000 in rental fees. So
And that system is like,
it was $7,000, including a little over $7,000, including 30 tanks. So we had to buy our tanks. We got to service them every 5 years, send them all for having hydro tested, and
which is very cheap.
$10 a tank.
Buy them all up front and you can get rid of them.
Yeah, there are tanks. We're not renting them. So the rental fees are killing us. It's over $500 a month that we're paying in rental fees on top of the gas fees. And there's a $75 delivery charge that they come every other week. So
So ambulance not in use. So say the Patriot ambulance will go then where? For sale?
I want to sell the ambulance that was in Patriot. I want to sell the ambulance that's currently sitting in Moorfield, buy a new primary unit, and move one of the 2 units at Vivi probably to Moorfield, which is where the other ambulance is sitting. And then there's still an ambulance at East Enterprise, which is the 2015 4-wheel drive that only has 95,000 miles on it. We've put some significant money into that to
So
keep it
without an
going.
ambulance at Patriot, Posey and Posey 1 and 2 are being serviced by the East Enterprise ambulance?
They're being serviced by Vivi right now. That's one thing I don't know if the community understands is those ambulances are there, but there's no staff there. So it's all backup people that have to come take those. So you're still talking 10 to 20 minutes for someone to get to that ambulance and then go wherever. We're making better times out of
There's
Vivi.
somebody there, so
Right.
you're dependent on every ambulance in this county besides the ones at Vivi are at volunteer fire departments. So you not only have to have a volunteer member that's a firefighter, but that has to be an EMT, which is a lot more
Minimally.
training. And then they have to not be at work.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is like in Patriot, it's just that truck's there, but getting somebody to run it
Right.
is very difficult. And then even if you do, there's not somebody there sitting on station ready to go like in Vivi.
Because they did have staff, but staff moved or,
There's just we've got one person, Cody McNeely just recently moved out that way. There's nobody else. So we still need 2. And
But
I've
he's
talked,
still, Cody isn't sitting on station
No.
paid,
No.
right,
waiting to go.
yeah, and you still got to get those people there. You got to have them. That pool has increased. I hired back another person that kind of lives out in that area, and she had to make a call with us. And I brought her back from before my term.
it's faster to get one from Rising Sun than,
Well, right now, Rising Sun, Ohio County is covering a part
Yeah.
of that county just
Yeah.
because of the construction. So we've worked out an agreement that they're covering a little sliver of that area that we just can't get to in a feasible amount of time.
You sell those other vehicles that you mentioned, what roughly are you talking about?
So when I was looking at doing trade-ins, one company offered us 3,000 piece for them. Another company offered us 10.5 for both of them.
Okay.
I think we could probably auction them for more than that. I'm going to have a stretcher to sell also with this because we're going to end up with 2 spare stretchers instead of 1 spare stretcher. So I want to sell the oldest one we got. It's probably bringing $4,000, $4,500, somewhere around there.
Maybe we could replenish this with something coming in, but it's not there.
Can we appropriate you 200,000 less than roughly 15 you think you're gonna get and make it work?
I have to pay for the ambulance in between there, but I mean.
You have this.
Capital.
Yeah, we have to appropriate the difference too.
Yeah.
Even if you had it in this.
This ambulance is available right now. They brought this ambulance to us before, and I didn't bring it to you guys. I didn't think it was the right time. But that same ambulance has came back to us, and it's still available. It's 99% identical to the last one we bought, minus the cabinet change on the inside.
You might want to talk
So-
about the benefits of that as well, as far as for the people working, right? So you've got a squad right now, a Chevy, that nobody likes.
Nobody likes that Chevy.
It rides like crap. So nobody runs it. So you've got one truck right now, correct, that is getting ran all the time.
We do.
All
So,
where?
so that Chevy was bought, I guess, in a pinch. I wasn't here. It's on a 3,500 chassis. It's small. I can't stand up in the back of it without hitting my head on the service rail. Goes for everybody else. It is a very small ambulance. It does ride terrible. I did take it to a place who basically put some RV parts in the front of it and made it ride a little bit better. It's still crap. It's just small. Make a great backup truck. We got a good price on it.
What year is it?
It's a 23.
Sell
All my people want me to sell it, buy something else. So
The problem with selling it though is you're not gonna get,
you're not going to get 150 for it, but I mean,
it's not getting used. I'd say.
it's getting used on backup calls. We have our 2 newest trucks down here. And another reason why I want to get this squad is the one hit a deer, was down for 2.5 weeks. The other one got stuck and in a series of unfortunate events got damaged. So we were back into the very 2 first squads as our primary and secondary vehicle that have 200,000 miles on them, check engine lights on. They've got some service issues. One of these squads that they wanted to give us $3,000 for needs an inverter. So when you're driving down the road, you got no power in the back. That inverter's $3,000. I don't see the purpose of buying a $3,000 inverter for a $3,000 ambulance. When it's set and plugged in, the stuff stays charged. You don't have any power when you're driving down the street.
You would think taking everything out of the inside and piecing it off, selling it, would be worth more than $3,000.
The Patriot truck, we've already stripped down BLS, so there's not a ton of equipment left in there. Like, it does have cardiac monitor in it. We stripped that out. And that was part of the last consolidation because it kind of seen this coming. And there's an AED in there, which could be moved somewhere. We did just buy a golf cart to use for festivals and stuff around town. So, we could move that to there. Otherwise, it's mainly just all supplies. The suction units are old, outdated. Just a little rundown on that, the suction units I have within the system. The model they made after the ones we have, they've already stopped making and servicing. So we're talking about a $500 unit though. We're just way behind on keeping them up to where they need to be. So
I don't think there's any doubt on the need of ambulance. That's pretty clear.
I'm all about the safety, but the issue I have is I was at the commissioners meeting. This shouldn't be over here with us. I mean, they need to pay for it. All right. This should not be here. They were very clear about that at the meeting, that they told them, why didn't you put this in your budget, was one of the questions, which is probably a good term. Same with highway came in, they got three diggers, we paid for that real quick. That wasn't in the budget.
They can't put those things in the budget.
Well, my point is, they have the money over there. The opportunity was, he got, 15,000 that night, and then, hey, go and see council and see if they'll use their rainy day fund to pay for this. They've got money.
I don't disagree that there needs to be some type of equipment account. It needs to be discussed
either.
as, not only for me, but for the highway, that a certain amount of money
I
goes
just don't think it
somewhere
belongs to us.
to buy vehicles and stuff.
But, yeah, I didn't have an issue using our portion of it. The problem is that commissioners stopped refilling our
Right.
account. There's no more money coming in. So once we've bought everything that they want to buy, we're done. So,
I think they need to do, I
but this does qualify for the cumulative cap development fund, which we've got 528,000 in. This is a capital item, so that's an option. If you want to
Or
do
we
that.
do
Does this-
half and let the commissioners do that.
Does this dictate an emergency to use that fund? Though? I mean, is it the best thing for us to use that money for? They had the money.
One thing is I don't want to really wait to go back to the commissioners because this guy is waiting on this meeting for us to give him a yes or a no to move this ambulance on to somebody else. We've waited,
You've been working.
we've been 3 weeks
You've been
almost.
working on this for a while and
Yeah.
you've missed out on a couple. 'Cause-
Yeah.
I think human capital is,
It's our balance in there. Just email.
We're saving a good chunk by buying the demos. Without the demo, this ambulance would be like 240 to 250.
yeah, I'll tell you.
So
What year is the demo?
it's a 26.
1.2 million as of the end of January.
They get these demos in and they take them like all the shows and stuff. And
Yeah,
And
but
they're for sale.
the one you said nobody likes is a 23, which is just 3 years old.
the issue with that one is it's so small.
I get it, but somebody bought it. So
Yeah,
somebody
from
got
what I
it.
understand, they bought it in a pinch because they needed it. But
I get it, but I mean, if
Yeah.
everybody was gonna hate it, that was a stupid purchase in my opinion.
I wouldn't agree with you there, and I wasn't here for that, so I can't go back and tell you exactly what
But if
happened.
somebody been in this one, we know we can stand.
It's
up.
identical to the one we just bought,
Okay.
minus one cabinet on the
Alright.
inside that's different.
You think that would be okay?
The cabinet difference, they want it.
I'm just saying,
As
make
long as you can
sure.
make that work.
The difference on it is the bench seat. So the cot goes in, there's a bench seat here. Ours is a solid bench with a net on the end to catch you if you hit something and so you don't fall down into the door. This other one at the end of that bench has a 2-drawer cabinet instead. That's the only difference. And that it's 1 year newer.
It's too small, it's a 23, you said it's only worth $30,000.
No, it's got like 30 something thousand miles on it, but we paid 150 for it. I could find out what it's worth. I mean,
Yeah, so that's not the one you're saying is worth $3,000.
no.
Okay.
These 2 old ones we have, they got boodles
So
of
the
miles on them and wear and
2023
tear.
That's in Patriot, we can sell as well.
The 2023 is right now in VV, and that is our backup squad.
Okay.
But it's not getting utilized very much because of its size and it rides terrible.
I got it.
But it would be a great squad to maintain its asset and move it out to where it's only making.
Or hire a bunch of short people.
Well, I have a bunch of short people, yeah. I feel like I already got a few short people already, and they complain about the height too also, so.
Next year and double the rate, right? Yeah. We should.
I think we could recoup some back from the commissioners.
Commissioner, so the commissioner's point is that they bought all this stuff for the highway department and they want us to put it back.
Put in more money.
We can argue about who,
We could try.
if it's us or them, but at the end of the day, it's the county and it's
Exactly.
needed.
Yeah. When's the next commissioners meeting?
Next month.
Monday,
Monday.
18th.
And you have to have a decision to, by when?
He originally said he would hold it through today.
So they want to hear from you tonight.
But that's where I'm saying, I mean, if we
He'll
would
he'll
approve
probably be
half,
asking.
and Monday he could go to the commissioners and get the other half, because our coffer's not getting refilled.
If the seller wait.
So that's,
I think this cum cap, we've never used this fund and this obviously qualifies. The rate's being increased, so next year when we budget for this thing, we're gonna have, 180 coming in, or 178, I think they said. So we can put a lot of our budget items in there, a lot of the computer stuff in the courthouse, all that sort of stuff will fit. But I think this is a good use for it. I'll make a motion to approve 200,000 out of the cum cap development fund for SCR's ambulance.
I'll second the motion.
Motion from Lance, second by Carrie to use human capital fund 1139 appropriate $200,000 to purchase a new ambulance.
Can the funds from the sale of the old ambulance go back into that fund? Does that need to be added to the motion?
That belongs to the commissioners. Equipment in this county belongs to the commissioners. That we don't have to say in there.
I don't believe it can go back in
It
this
can't go back
particular
into the
fund.
Q cap.
So it'll go into the commissioner's
Yeah.
fund.
It'll go to probably most likely county general,
They take that.
into the just miscellaneous.
Go
account.
back, yeah, I would go back in the general.
Yeah,
It's miscellaneous revenue.
yeah, miscellaneous revenue.
All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Gotta have it, you gotta have it.
That's right.
I agree with that. I just think the commissioner should split the cost with us instead of.
Well, I agree with that too.
There's
He's
a lot
gonna
of things
lose, he's
commissioners
gonna
spend
lose the
money
sell
on
on
this
that
year. They
demo.
shouldn't be paying attention to this.
You know, he'll lose the sell on the demo if he waits. Then you have to pay a higher price for it.
Well, wait till Monday.
I'm not,
Well, I mean, if he said he's
well,
got
passed,
it.
so it's
Yeah.
Motion
it's
passed.
done. Yeah, it's done.
All right, next up,
Just tell me why I voted yes.
Thank you.
we've got 4 additional appropriations for the highway department. None of them are coming out of the general fund, it's all
No.
moving their funds. I don't know how you guys want to do it. I'm kind of thinking we can make a motion to approve or deny all of them at once, if everybody's okay with that.
Well, the money's in there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just
moving
going-
from
it's just
one fund to
moving.
another.
Is that what you're asking? You're just gonna make a motion for one
For
or,
all of them.
I'll second that one.
I'll make a motion.
Are you making a motion, Scott, or you,
Carrie can have it.
You can second.
Reversed it.
well, whatever you want?
Whatever.
Got a motion by Carrie, second by Matt. All in favor?
We want to hear from you, Dustin.
That was easy, right?
You're intimidating.
I do have more info on wheel tax if you all want that.
That's our next thing up here, so you may want to just stay where you are.
Do I have to?
Somebody needs to.
It was four things for the highway department reappropriation funds. Oh, that's on mine.
Okay, so just so you all see what we're seeing, this is straight out of our asset management that we have to have through the state. And if you look on the right column, you'll see the 2024 rating. And that's the last year rating we had. So your 2s and 3s, our roads are rated from 0 to 10, which basically 0 means a gravel, so it don't really count. So 1 is your worst, 10 is your best. And we got in the 2s and 3s category, if you look on the second page, you'll see a price down here about 3/4 way down. We got 48 miles of roads rated at 2s and 3s, which they're not catastrophic failure, but they're almost there. So to fix them, we're looking at close to $9 million just to fix them 2s and 3s. And then if you look on down, we got the next category will be your 4s. And while we're trying to fix the 2s and 3s, them 4s are going to be failing the 2s and 3s as well. And we're looking at about another $9 million to fix them. So out of roughly 100 miles there to bring these back up into the 9s and 10s, we're looking at about $18 million. My fund,
That's to asphalt them or that's to chip and seal them?
the asphalt.
Okay,
Yeah, chip and seal won't work on these roads because they're too far gone.
okay.
And we can't afford to do it here, but usually once your roads get down into the 2s, they really need to be ground off and then make sure the base is good and then put new asphalt on. But we generally just do an overlay over top because we can't afford to mill it and overlay it.
So the roads that aren't on here are the ones that are in good shape.
Yeah, better shape, yeah.
Yeah.
We got roads all the way from 2s, 3s, 4s, all the way up to 10s.
How many, if the cost isn't prohibitive, like how many miles are you capable of doing this? What would you plan for in a calendar year to try to tackle if you could?
So if we don't have no help or extra funding, I got 450,000 in my 73 fund each year for blacktop. So you're roughly 2.5 miles a year that I do in blacktop. Now our chip and seal, we have about 350,000 set aside each year for that, and that gets us anywhere from 15 to 20 miles, depending on how wide the roads are that you're doing. Now this year we took a refund we got back from the state for a detour they tore up and they paid for. We added that in with our chip and seal line, so we'll have about 512,000 roughly to do chip and seal this year, which will get us almost 30 miles. So we can take, you want to chip and seal, like if you have a good 4, you can chip and seal it, but mostly you want to chip and seal like 5s and 6s to bring them back up to 8s or 9s roughly. But once you get below a 5, that's when you need to start blacktopping again. So basically everything I brought you on this list requires blacktop. So out of the 450,000 I have each year in my 73 fund, I can do about 2.5 miles of this 100 and some miles we got here each year. And at that pace, we'll all be retired before we get through this list here.
Dusty, that lane miles, that's both sides of the road, right?
No.
The right side of the road.
No,
it's
that's,
just-
oh yeah, the lane miles. Your first one there, it says center line miles.
Yeah,
That's just counting those
right,
straight through. But yeah, center line, you're doubling everything.
I got it.
But we based all this off of, well, you can see both there on the next page. Center line, you got 48 miles of
Yeah.
2s and 3s, and then you double that for.
Dusty, what were you projecting this was gonna come out of? When you looked at the wheel tax, did you guys look at the wheel tax? Is it at the top level?
Yeah, so basically, if you put in the max wheel tax, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
It's supposed to generate, if all the calculations are right, about 600 and some thousand a year. Now, there will be a lane mile match coming with that from the state. If you do have a wheel tax, we don't really know what that'll be. But it'll be over top of the 600,000.
But it's just like the community crossings, that you have to have the wheel tax to be able to be applicable for those other grants.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get a lane mileage match automatically if you have a wheel tax.
so you base this off of the highest amount. So if we staggered the amount that we collect year after year until we felt like we got it right, how many of these roads don't get taken care of? Let's say we started at $10 instead of what you want to start at. How many of these roads
Well,
go on a,
If you do the minimum, it was about 80-some thousand a year. And that's about what it cost us to run just the pothole patching machine. So if you do the minimum, it'll basically pay for all your pothole patching through the year.
and that'll be it.
Mhm.
That's why you need the full amount.
How much do the commissioners put towards this, towards roads from casino money?
Well, in the past, I'm not sure. They used to try to set aside about 400,000 to help us out. But in the past few years, we haven't done any of that. It's all been community crossings. And then we try to save up some of our money in 73. So let's say this year I don't do any blacktopping with that 450. Our next grant we apply for will be for blacktop. So we will put whatever money we have built up in the fund with that community crossings. So say we get awarded $1 million through community crossings. If we have 800,000 saved up, we'll pitch that in and do $1.8 million in blacktop. But we need to, to get caught up, we need to be doing about 3 to 4 million a year for blacktop. But there's
You're
no,
saying though, next year, if we don't have a wheel tax, you may or may not be able to get community crossing
Correct.
money, correct?
yes.
Do you have
And we
any-
don't know for sure.
Yeah,
So,
we don't. We don't.
We don't know for sure. So if we don't do a wheel tax and then come the beginning of 27, they say, if you don't have a wheel tax, you can't apply for community crossing, then we're screwed.
And there's a weird scenario with that community crossing. So you'll get a lane mileage match if you have a wheel tax. And then if they do continue community crossings, whatever they give you, let's say they give us 400,000 a year for the match. So if we ask for $1 million, they're gonna subtract that 400 they give us and only give us that amount.
Right.
But I also feel that if you don't have a wheel tax, they might not give you what your lane mileage match would be. So you might lose 400,000 a year because you don't have a wheel tax. But there is a lot of unknowns out there. But they put this wheel tax in place back in the 80s. And if we would have been doing it then, we would be in a better place now.
Do you have any idea with the way things are changing, how much you're set to lose out on?
I do not know. There's quite a few changes I've heard about but I don't know how much of it's true and how much of it's not. So I can't sit here and speculate. But I just know with what funding we have now, I can do 450,000 a year in blacktop and about 350 in chip and seal. And that's all we can afford. And basically that 73 fund, it can only be used for blacktop and chip and seal. You can do some culvert work and stuff like that. And then our 76 fund, which is the one we're really failing in, because you have to do all your snow removal, your mowing, any other jobs other than blacktop and chip and seal has to come out of that account. All your electric, your diesel, all that.
When the state's closing the state highways, which is causing all the traffic on all the county roads that we've had to repair and whatnot, does the state give any money in,
They do.
back to us for that?
Yep, they do. That's what I was telling you a minute ago. Yeah, it depends on, so we run the roads before the detour and after, and then we say what we think's failed, or
Yeah.
we can even show how much we've put into it, keeping it up while they was doing that. At the end of the time, we can submit all that, and if they agree on it, then they'll pay us for it. So Kennett Road that we had, they destroyed that thing. They ended up paying us, Jenny, wasn't that like 160?
163.
Yeah, so they reimbursed us 163,000 because that's what it cost us to fix it.
Yeah.
So that's the money that once we got that refund, we put it in our chip and seal line for this year,
Got
so we can do a lot more chip and seal work. But yeah, if we,
Antioch and Evans and those where they just.
yeah, now Antioch, it didn't get tore up. Some of them roads that don't get tore up, we'll go in like where everybody runs off the edges, we'll
Right.
shoulder stone them. So they'll reimburse like the shoulder stone work and stuff. But if the road does get damaged, then they will pay for it, yes. And we got several small, we've probably done what, 4, maybe 5 reimbursements over the past year and a half or so.
I saw the police were ticketing semis coming down Markham Pike the other day again.
Mhm. And that's another topic, Markham Pike, we're getting ready to lose the top of it because of all the weight on it. It's starting to pump on the sides. And probably before next year, year after, it's gonna have to be blacktop again, just the upper part. But I just wanted you to have that information to see what we're seeing, over the next however many years you want to stretch it out. We need about $18 million just to get our failing roads back up.
How many years can you stretch that out?
Depends on how many years you want to drive on a smooth road or a gravel road. And that's ultimately where we don't want to get. We don't want these roads to fail so bad that we got to tear all that blacktop up and turn them back into gravel.
Because then they're closed for a long time for repair.
And blacktop is more expensive, but in the long run, it should save you money because you're not putting gravel on 3 times a year. And you got so much maintenance, trying to keep them smooth.
Yeah, you can't
But when they get-
hill smooth, gravel hill.
No, you can't. And when they get much worse than these 2s and 3s, then you got to look at turning them back into gravel if you can't fix them.
I mean, I guess I don't have the figures in front of me, but I know we have quite a bit of money in Indiana Trust. And I guess I'm questioning why, you know, we're running this down to a point where we're in dire straits and wanting to tax people more when we've got the money right now to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, we got millions, right? So,
that's not a question for me.
I know, that's why I'm not directing it
Yeah,
towards you, I'm just
right.
making a statement.
Who makes the decisions
So-
on Indiana Trust? Is that between the commissioners and us, or is it just us or
That's finance.
finance committee?
Having said that, you know, I went back and looked at the highways budgets from last year, and if you add up local road and street and then the two, 1176 and 1173, you add all three of those together, they were 422,000, you know, in the red, I guess you could say. Obviously, they had cash balance to cover, no problem, but to me, if I'm adding a tax, I'm trying to recoup that 422, or somewhere near that. That's honestly what they need to balance their operating budget. And that puts me in the middle of this chart somewhere. that-
Yeah, but you're also
Page
just talking about maintaining what we have right now. Our budget basically only maintains a day-to-day of upkeep.
Right.
It doesn't cover very much new.
There's also hopefully gonna be that matching funds on top of whatever this is, if we do this,
Yes.
which is a big question mark. I
Yeah.
understand.
Well, and like say you put in the max and we get 600,000 a year if it's like they say. And they don't have a good scenario on the lane match, but I mean, if it's 200,000, you're up to 800,000 a year. If it's 400,000, you got $1 million a year.
But it's zero if you don't have a wheel tax.
Right.
I think Lance has got a good point, a justifiable way to look at it. I mean, that's where you're already in the hole of that amount. You know, we don't know if it's gonna be better or worse next year with what things are
Right.
changing. I mean,
Yeah, because like
personally, if somebody asked me why'd you do this? That's a pretty good reason.
Yes.
Justified. Well, we thought we needed as much money as we could get, so we set it at the max. I mean, I don't really like that. And I
The
think,
chances of you getting this, I mean, just so you understand, they've already told us, the state has told us, it will be very difficult. If we make a mistake here and don't ask for the max, it'll be very difficult to go back and ask for more. And if you don't understand why, all the B and Vs have to put this in, whole statewide. So that's the administrative cost to the state that they looked at and said, this thing's too expensive. They don't want to be out front and say, we're not saying we're not going to do it for you, but they're looking at the administrative cost to the entire state because you want to have an element here. I don't know that I've seen too many counties not asking for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And personally,
Yeah, but if
you
adjust
guys
it
know better than we
year,
do
I mean,
about what it
you don't
costs.
have the gov.
One bridge.
Yeah.
You know,
One bridge goes
you don't
out
have the same
and we're in
gov,
trouble.
whether we go from
Yeah.
$10 to $15 to $20.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You can
for
change it
this,
every year.
yeah, that's for this board every year to sort out, just like any other tax. I can't, somebody asked me, why are you taxing me more than what you need when you're sitting on millions of dollars? I don't have a good answer for that. That's where I'm at. So on this, I mean, I know your guys' salaries have gone up a little bit, so I'd go up to this 35 and 50. I know these got to be done together. The 35, 50 line, that'd be as high as I'd be willing to go. There may be more need in the future, and it can be raised in the future. Every year it's got to be
You
looked at.
can't guarantee that though. I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Lance, but we can't sit here and tell everybody that you want to raise it up and it's going to get approved, because it's not, well, to
it
the
may,
folks
this may
that are
not,
here,
may
that
not
are
get
going to be here
approved no
next
matter
year,
what we say.
maybe,
Why
but
do we have the
what
option
if
to
you
go
don't?
minimum and stagger it then? If we have the option to do that, why don't they just say you gotta go max or nothing?
pay attention to
I'm
what,
not on
we're
board.
Switzerland County, but pay attention to what the majority of counties are doing. There's a reason for it.
Well, and one of the biggest things, like I said, this has been around since the eighties. And the reason that them maxes keep changing is because the counties realize that, hey, we still don't have enough money to take care of the roads. So
Yeah.
this max today is different from what it was 10 years ago. So,
When it was established initially.
yeah. So even the counties back then that adopted it, you know, in the eighties,
Yeah.
they couldn't keep up as well. And like our NVH funds, they don't go up every year like everything else does. I mean, we have a set amount of money we've probably been running on for 8-10 years. It's the same.
So when's the lit tax go away?
It
Does
doesn't
it go
go,
away?
it doesn't go.
Does it end? Lit tax?
We have to reestablish it, but they delayed that a year.
Yeah. it's
Yeah.
not
Oh, okay.
20.
It was gonna be next year, you had to reestablish it for.
They're adding some other lit taxes.
Yeah.
Optional lit taxes.
So you're saying the 30 for cars and 50 for
35.
I'm between the 30 and 35. I could be, talked into either one. But I'm not for the max.
I like the 35 and the 50. 35 excise, 50 wheel tax. Puts us at an estimated 431, 100.
which would cover the negative.
And ideally, it's gonna result in,
Well,
more
Dusty's-
money than that. because
Yeah,
of
but like
matching.
Dusty said, if that's just covering the negative that they had, you know what I mean, it's not giving you any wiggle room to do extra, which is
Right.
this, correct?
Yeah.
And the other terms?
Yeah. Then that's what we could do, is look at the Indiana Trust and get the financial group to look at it.
So Dusty, after what you guys budgeted, maybe you know this better, what you guys budgeted with fuel going up, how much less miles are you able to pay this year?
Well, that's the unknown yet. We've already spent,
See, all those little factors that's gonna cause you.
We're-
guessing.
We have spent more than half of our budget for gas and stuff
You're
by
guessing.
April.
So,
Yeah.
More than half.
More than half of the budget.
For gas and fuel, by
Yeah.
May 1st, we're already more than 50% through our budget. Because we-
And the county doesn't contract any diesel prices, pre-contracted either, do they?
no, well, we haven't for a long time. And even at that, they can only take so much of a hit.
Right.
Well, I wanna hear you, so from the highway department, what is your recommendation to us?
I think it needs to be max. I mean, we're already failing on infrastructure. I mean, we're $18 million behind right now. And you also know we're 400,000 behind in our own budget. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to pay it either. I got trucks, I
Right,
got
I-
trailers.
I don't
And I believe, this is a great report. I believe exactly, the need is there. I believe. But I also know that we can write a check for this today if commissioners wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't pretend that money is not sitting there.
right,
If we're not gonna spend it on roads, we're not gonna spend it on ambulances, we're not gonna, what are we spending it on?
right.
This is the public's money and we're gonna try and ask for more.
But the financial.
That's where I'm hung up. I can go and go so far with it.
It's their call.
Well, there's some
We're
balance.
thinking we're gonna catch up by using our money that's in the till, which is good, you can do that. But then you fix the roads over here and we get caught up, we don't take the majority of this, and you have 2 bridges fail.
Mhm.
We're screwed.
Yep.
You are, those that remain,
Well,
you
we
will
got,
have a lot of explaining to do.
we got a smaller bridge going in here shortly and it was 780 some thousand.
Just for a
And the
small.
economy plays a ticket on this because as you're talking right now, you got fuel at $4 or something, it's costing you even more.
Financial.
And you're only in the we're in the 5th month, and you're
Right.
telling me you've used 50% of your budget already? In 5 months, they've used 50%?
Besides how
the
they
public
invest.
tells taxes
Yeah.
going up.
The treasurer, how to invest
You
it.
gotta travel
I think
roads,
the
right?
public would
What we
say,
gonna
no,
put?
don't do that, Max. Get from the Indiana Trust.
You know what, maybe
that's
at
what
budget time, we'll think about what
I
we're
can't
really.
see anybody out there going, yeah, raise my plates.
But we as council can pull the money from Indiana Trust.
This goes.
correct? And it's there.
If we want to move forward with this in any way, if we
Well,
want to,
Indiana
wheel
Trust,
tax, we've already made a motion
Finance
to move
Committee
forward
has
with
to
the
do.
max rate.
That's not,
And Garrett has done the paperwork on that. So if we want to change that, we can. We need to make a motion to amend it to whatever rate we want. And then we need to set the first public meeting. Or we can move forward with the max rate. But either, we either need to amend it, the motion, the rate, and then we need to set a meeting, and we keep it where it is and set a meeting.
But even if we stick with that, we
Guess-
still
I
have to
guess we
have a
could kill it.
public meeting. It can be changed after the public meeting, correct?
You're gonna adopt it at whatever the rate you set it.
I don't think
Whatever the
so.
public meeting is, that's what you have to adopt it.
This,
That's what
after the
you're-
second.
Next hearing is gonna be for the adoption.
No, we have to have, I talked to Gary about this.
I'm just holding my
Today,
notes
we
now.
need to set the rate that we want.
Has to be today.
Doesn't have to be today, but if we want to move forward. And then we need to set the first public meeting, which if we just decide on a rate today, would make sense to me to do after our next council meeting. And if that goes good, then we'll have another meeting. And if that goes good, then we can immediately adopt it. So my thoughts are next council meeting after the meeting, we'll have the first public meeting on the wheel tax. And then before our council meeting following that, we'll have a public meeting. And if that goes fine, then we'll adopt it. So we would adopt it in the July council meeting. But we have to get through those two public,
You're saying a June council meeting, June public meeting, July meeting adopted?
but there's gonna be two public meetings specifically for the wheel tax.
And
So
it
like,
has to
so in the
be-
June council,
Yeah, and it has to be implemented by September 1st?
by 17th of September, I think.
Okay,
sometime in September.
we just gotta make sure whatever we do.
So we could put this all off one more meeting and still have time, but I don't. I think we should figure something
I think
out.
we should move forward.
I think we should, yeah, one way or the other.
Yeah, we've put it off since the eighties, so we're probably better.
We just want more month here.
Yeah.
Since the 80s.
Are you looking at a reduction in your minds, are you guys thinking, well, we've got Indiana trust funds and we're gonna use that? So that's why we're not asking for the full amount?
You don't like that idea?
What's that?
You don't like that idea?
We're not in charge of it.
I think we need to be
We can
careful.
say it, but we're not, it's not our money.
We've got to be careful about using too much of our savings, just like any individual.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're not in charge of the money, it's a great idea. I think if it's got, but it's not ours to make a decision.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the ordinance to the $35 rate, 35 and 50 on this chart.
All right, got a motion by Lance to amend the wheel tax to $35 excise tax, $50 wheel tax. Got a second.
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Carrie. All in favor? Why do we do that?
You don't.
Wait till the next meeting.
You gotta wait till you,
You didn't have to.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
it fails.
Anybody else want to make a motion? I guess we will table it to the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to stick with what we got and go with it.
As you want to make so you're making a motion to put it at the max like it was written by Garrett?
Yeah. But it's still gonna be 3 to 3.
The max will be $50 for excise and $40 that could be implemented starting 2027.
All right, motion by Kim for the maximum rate, $50 excise tax, $80 wheel tax. Second.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? Same thing.
Ellen Woody and
Got to raise my hand.
you
Okay.
gotta run for council.
All right, we'll table that till our next meeting. Now we have got board reports. I don't have anything, I don't have
Recycling board meets on the 20th at Jefferson County Proving Grounds, so I'll have one for June.
It's going down, we got one next month.
any. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Lance and Kim, all in favor? Motion is adjourned. Meeting is adjourned.
What's he trying to do this? He's saying that that's came out spent. So that's already, that has been spent, but it doesn't give a dollar amount to do it.
Like